Deuce Geralds is committing a bit later today. We're going to take a look at the 6'2", 275 defensive lineman right now. It's from Collins Hill in Sewanee, Georgia. As always, you guys let me know what you think about him. Any other 26, 27 athletes you want me to take a look at or put up on the channel. Love having these conversations about these high school kids. But 6'2", 275. A lot of times when we watch high school defensive linemen, we'll take a look at the height, we'll take a look at the weight, and we'll know exactly where on the defensive line the dude's going to play, especially nose tackles. When you have a kid that you're going to be talking about in a zero, you kind of know he's going to be playing a zero. Deuce Geralds, right away, I think this kid kind of fits that kind of 3-tech a bit more. Not going to have him really in between the guards that often, but outside shoulder of the guard is really where I like him. But I don't think we're going to have to really talk about him being a strict defensive tackle. I don't think we're going to have to talk about him being a defensive end. I think the conversation's a bit more based on what defense he walks into and then the way that the coach is playing the situational game. So on the rundowns, typically with these kind of players, these are the dudes you kind of outside shoulder, the tackle, kind of setting the edge, like his physicality for that. But then, on these pass rush downs here, I think this is exactly where you're going to see him a lot more. This outside shoulder of the guard here. And what do I like about Deuce Geralds? Stop talking about the scheme, start talking about the player. Really like the first step. You see he's an explosive athlete. I don't think we're going to be talking about Deuce Geralds as either the best run defender in the country or the best pass rusher as a defensive tackle in the country. I think this is going to be a dude that we have a conversation being pretty proficient in both phases of the game, and I think this is the best pass rush tape you see on right here. And, pretty good hips for a defensive tackle. Really like the way he turns this corner and, got a first step, and then you kind of see the strength take over and see the bend take over. So definitely flashes some skill sets that you like seeing for a pass rusher. As a run defender, he's just a really physical football player. We're going to see him a lot with the ball in his hands and see how good of an athlete he is, but he is a physical player as well, and we'll see that as the tape goes on. But you guys let me know what you think about him. Trying to think any other point to bring up here. This is what I don't think we see at the next level, on these obvious pass rush downs, have him lined up on the outside. Just because we're not going to be talking about this kid as one of the most explosive athletes in the country. And you can't really take advantage of that on the outside on the pass rush downs. You kind of want to see him a bit more inside, I think, where we're going to like him as an athlete against most guards in the country, I think. Of course, going to have to fill out. Right now I think he's a better pass rusher than he is a run defender, but reason I don't really have any issues with the run defending right now is because he just has a frame to add weight and add strength, and we say that about every high school athlete, but what you're getting athletically, this is a really good first step. I think I've kind of been downplaying a little bit, but I do think this kid has a lot of upside as a pass rusher. Going to be interesting to see how his frame really develops going forward, and we talk a lot about putting weight on these kids, and then we kind of expect them to have that same first step, but it's not so easy. When these kids put on weight, it's kind of hard to be the same athlete that you are in high school when you're 30, 40 pounds heavier. Even if it's muscle, it's still difficult, but it's going to be interesting. That's something that every athlete in the country deals with, so not going to really make a big deal out of that. That was Deuce Geralds. You guys let me know what you think. As always, you guys have an idea of where he committed, so you probably have a better idea of what he's going to be asked to do at the next level. So that's a conversation I love having. Just can't do it before he commits. Thanks for watching.